Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. I'm looking forward to the second day. It's good to see you all again. We've had an amazing turnout. I just got a little bit of data in the hallway that for many of these sorts of events, the attrition rate is about 10%. But for this event, it was 4%, meaning just about everybody who signed up is here today, or here during the event. So thank you for being here. I'd like to thank all of our sponsors again, including AT&T, Nokia, and Adobe. But in particular, extend a very warm thanks to Microsoft for really showing us the executive treatment for this event. I'd like to give a special thanks to the production team. They're really doing a fabulous job with the audio video. Yesterday, somebody said they had not dropped a single frame at some point in the afternoon. And I think we have several thousand, about 3,500 people watching the live stream, at least yesterday. The video will be available as HTML5 very soon. And I'm also told that once it's online in archive form, we can expect about 10 times as many views of that. So that's all very exciting, and thank you for participating in that. So thanks to Microsoft for their support for the event and their ongoing support for W3C's mission to create open standards. The first speaker is from Microsoft. Giorgio Sardo is the senior technical evangelist, and he'll be showing you some very cool demos about HTML5. Thank you, and welcome, Giorgio.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Giorgio Sardo. I work in Microsoft. I work with HTML5, so I have the best job in the company. I kind of interact very closely with very smart engineers. You know, the IE team has been doing a very good job in the last years. And on the other side, I interact with smart minds like you, smart developers, people from W3C that are working daily on the working groups. You know, I also want to say good afternoon, good evening, good night, eventually, to those that are following online. I know that many of you couldn't make it here in Redmond today. But this is open, right? This is an open conversation. It's between the people in this room as well as with the people online. So yesterday, we saw some great content. We talked about how we can have open conversation in W3C, how the working groups are listening and are working together with developers. We had great speakers. We have Vincent, Divya, Paul, and Ray, many others, talking about all of the news in CSS, the news in HTML, in SVG. We talk on mobile devices. We talk on payments. And today we are going to start in a slightly different way. Today I will show you some of the best, what I think are the best demos on the web, the best applications, the best websites. And all of these websites are coming partially from Microsoft. So Microsoft has been working with some very talented developers around the globe. Are coming from evangelists in Mozilla, are coming from people in Google. So I try to capture a lot of them. I have only 45, 50 minutes, so I will not show you all of them, right? But I'll do my best here. And I'm going to start with my name, right? Easy. Can you see it? No? So let me zoom a little bit here. Let's go for 100%. Can you see better now? Right? This is, yesterday we talked about typography. This is rich typography. Look at the definition and the detail, right? This is what you can do today. Very easy with CSS3, the new WOF format, to make very compelling pages. I'm going to show a lot of demos. And the first question you're going to ask me is, can I have the links to the demo? And so I will try an experiment here. You see my Twitter handle is there, gsardo. So as I show the demo, automatically, don't ask me how, I'm going to post a tweet on my handle with a link to the demo that I'm showing, right? So this should work. If it doesn't, then I'll give you the list later. So let's start with the first demo. So for those of you that are following on Twitter, it's live now. And the first demo is Foursquare. So I thought, I need to check in, right? We are here in this place, in Redmond. Let's check in. And how can we do this? Well, we have the geolocation in all of the browsers now. This is thanks to the geolocation working group. Has been working hard in the last year. And with geolocation, you can basically access information about where I am right now. So for example, this page knows where I am, so it knows I'm in Redmond. And then it's connecting to the Foursquare APIs. And now I know what are the buildings around me. Oh, W3Conf, or there is the Marriott, or there is the Tule Cafe. And eventually you can filter. So you can go, you want to go to a food place, and you're looking for a food place around here. And you can go wherever you want. And all of this obviously is HTML5, right? So there is no plugin on this page. And eventually you can also go inside the building. So I'm going inside the Marriott now, and I can see the people. So there is a secret person. Oh, I didn't log in. So there are 3 people checking in this place right now around us. This is the oh, gosh. We have a space invasion here. So be aware those rows in the back. They are coming. But again, this is just a very simple example of what you can do today using geolocation. The next demo is dedicated to the SVG working group, and I know Doug will love this. So this is something I've been working with a very talented agency in Japan. So when we think about SVG today, SVG, we say, oh, yes, it's for charts, for simple stuff, for pie diagrams. And so we try to demonstrate that SVG is actually much more than that. We try to push as much as we could the limits of SVG on the web. So in a few seconds, the demo is going to start. This is just a plain HTML5 video. But have a look at what is going to happen now. So you might think that what you see now is a video. You might think it's a canvas. You might think it's an animated GIF. I don't know what you're thinking. But if you're thinking all of this, you're wrong. This is SVG. Ladies and gentlemen, this is SVG. What do you think? Now, the next question is, why the hell did you produce this in SVG? It wasn't just easier to make it with a video. But let me explain you why. Because I can go here, I can edit this video, either with like JavaScript function that permutes SVG in real time, or some simpler function. Okay. And for example, I can take the skin, and the skin of this girl should definitely be red, for example. So it's now remapping this frame. I generate the animation, I replay the animation, and now you see, the skin is red. I'm live editing, live interacting with this content. It's SVG, so I can query, I can apply all of the queries, all of the selectors, CSS selectors, and work on it. So this is, I think, quite impressive. This is why I love HTML5. And we talked also about audio and video yesterday. And I think we need to give more credits to the audio and video, to the people that work in the audio and video tag in the working groups. And this is another demo that we built to showcase how far you can go with the video tag. And so you have 15 videos on this page, 15. And this stuff is all, there is a parallax effect, the Polaroids, you can keep them and drag them. You can zoom in and you can see what's going on. What you hear here, like this music, is coming from the same guy. Right? So this guy is basically an a cappella singer, it's Mike Tompkins, and you can see that he recorded like each instrument. So there is no like instrument here, it's all coming from his voice. And eventually you can play with the volumes, right? So for example, you can say that now it's synth, or it's ha-ho, or it's not, it's violin. Where is it? Beatbox. You can see that basically you can play, you can interact with this. Real time, look at the performance. We are talking about 60 frames per second. And it just moves, right? And it just works. Again, HTML5 and audio tag in action. Now, you saw 3 demos. This was just the appetizer of what you're going to see today. And by the way, let me share the links to these 2 demos for those of you on Twitter. So my handle is gsardo. Voila. I want to make very clear something here. Today we're talking about HTML5, and we're talking about the open web. We're not talking about browsers. So all of the demos that I'm showing you today, they actually work in any browser. And we work hard to make sure that they work in any browser. That's our goal. There is no like, oh, IE is the best, Firefox is the best, Chrome is the best, Opera, Safari. This is about all browsers, or all user agents. If you see something that doesn't behave as expected, let us know. Like, we want to work and fix it. And you will see that today I will try to use a number of variety of browsers. So I'm going to move into another machine. And you might wonder what's behind. How did we build, for example, the SVG Girl demo? And for example, this is an open tool. It's free. It's called Inkscape. Allows you to manipulate SVG files. And you can see here just one of these frames. And we work like on that animation, building frames and applying animation, transformation on those frames. This is the magic tool that launched the demo. There is another SVG demo. We talk about, Vincent did a great job yesterday talking about some of the SVG news that are coming. I want to show you one more. One of the features of SVG is called filters. And filters are actually very powerful. They allow you to apply filter to SVG content. And so, for example, I can add a Gaussian blur to an image or to a picture. Or I can add, for example, I don't know, the color matrix and change the colors here. Or I have some templates, so I can look at W3C in the 20s, the 60s, and the 80s, the 90s, yeah, hippie, and 2000, very, I don't know, like that. And all of this is achieved just using SVG filters. Or you can do actually very crazy stuff. So for example, this animation of the fire is achieved, again, just using SVG filters. It's a number of filters applied to each other on top, like as a chain of filters. And again, this animation, these filters already work and supported in many browsers out there. Now, what do you think about SVG? Do you like it more now? Right? It's powerful. Like, don't underestimate it. And there is one more, actually, demo I want to show you on SVG. This is coming from a very popular design agency. It's called Big Spaceship. And they put together this nice, basically, playground where I can move the mouse, and I'm going to generate, like, as the music plays, I can generate different elements, and it's displaying these elements. I'm going to skip to the end here, because the interesting thing about this demo, I think, is what Big Spaceship offered us, which is a huge resources of SVG assets. So if you go here and you click View Library, now you have this file here with the background, black background, which is an SVG file with a lot of assets. And some of them are quite funny. Like, for example, I love the USB pen. I have another demo where I have a USB pen flying around the page. It's the attack of the USB pens. It's very nice. So you can go there, download it, and play with it, and start playing with this on your sites today. All right, so enough for SVG. I showed you a few SVG demos. The SVG working group did an amazing job, and also it's great to see how the SVG working group is integrating with the other working groups. So it's not just silos SVG, silos HTML. Like, you can apply CSS to SVG, you can apply SVG to the CSS properties. It's very interoperable, and that's why I love it. The next demo is a courtesy of the Bing team. This is not broadly available worldwide, so that's why I'm showing it on my machine. But the Bing team recently started to use videos on their page. And this is just an example of how you can use HTML5 videos and blend that content inside your page. So what you see here is just HTML5 video. They don't do it every day, so they've been very nice to show it today for us for this event. But this is, I think this is great, right? Everybody expects to see animals moving on their site when you wake up in the morning and you go to search something. So I think this is very, I love it. I personally love it. And then as we talk about, you notice that I jumped from the SVG working group. Now I'm talking about the HTML working group, the HTML5 working group. There are a lot of features, and one that we talk about again and again is the canvas. And so some time ago, I had the pleasure to work with this genius. You might know him. It's called Joshua Davis, and also Bernarditti and Brandon Hall. Those are historically very popular and very skilled developers with Flash. And we asked them, like, what do you think about HTML5? Like, what would you build in HTML5? And they built this endless mural. endless, because they basically took like me, like a very horrible designer, and now they allow me to create beautiful stuff, right? So they apply all of these shapes and figures that already had like as assets, and eventually I can change the artwork, so I can pick up the artwork of another artist. I have a number of behaviors, so I can go, for example, for bars. I can change all of these little details, and then I run it again, and you see how this thing can definitely be fun. And then as I go to view the other one, you will see like millions of other arts created by other people. But the best thing is that you can actually replay them. So you can see how each person here put together like this different piece of art. And this is built using Canvas. Very fast, very nice. Another use of Canvas is coming from BMW. I work with BMW in UK, and they said, you know, we have this car, we want to showcase this car, and we wanted to do it in a cool way. And so we came up with this page, basically allow you to take the car and spin it around and look at different details, right? And look at the performance here. Woo! And eventually you say, well, I want to see like how it looks like in the night, and you can see in the night. And now you're going to have all of these shade effects and shadows effect, and it's pretty nice. And eventually you can also get like you can see how the hair floats on the car. You can open the car and look at the details. Just in case you wanted to buy this car online, right? It's a few $millions, I think. Then at the end of the project, I asked them, okay, now can I get the car? And I'm still waiting. So that was built using Canvas. And let me show you some of the tricks, like what's the code behind that spinning card, right? Are you ready? So I'm opening here the developer tools. Head, there is a script, a JavaScript file. And in the body, I have an image. I have too much. Let's go. OK. I have an image tag, display none, that has the picture of my sprite of my car. And then I have a canvas. That's it. That's all I have in the HTML content, in the markup. Now let's have a look to the script instead. I am attaching to the DOM content loaded, one of the best new events coming from the DOM working group. And as soon as I'm ready basically to interact with the DOM, I'm selecting my canvas, selecting my image, I set an interval, and then I'm basically drawing in a loop this image of the car. So basically imagine this is a long sprite with all of these states, and I'm just looping through the states, and I'm showing like the last one. And this gives you the idea that this is like a spinning car. So with about 20 lines of code, you get 3 BMW spinning in your browsers. So you can spin anything now, or you can do any other animation. But this is a common technique behind many of the games that you see today. As you see, I'm trying to also like tell you a little bit more about the tricks, right? Not just like show you the cool stuff, but also share with you how we got there. Another fun project to work on was the one with the Killers. The band The Killers, they decided to reimagine their site. They decided to build their site using completely HTML5, get rid of all of the plugins. And what they end up with is this infinite panorama where you can turn left, right, but you're still like basically going in this loop panorama. And it's quite nice because as you browse around, you basically discover elements. They like this aspect of discovery. And eventually I can get here, I see the videos, and then I jump into the sky. And now the sky is made of SVG stars. So this is made in SVG. You can select a video, and now there is HTML5 video content. It's all open, and eventually if you want to buy it, you go to iTunes. So this is an integrated experience that brings together CSS, HTML, SVG, video on a production site, right? This is not just a prototype. This is live. This has been live to all of the Killers fans, and they're loving it. The feedback that they give is very amazing. They absolutely love these new interactions, the new experiences. How are we doing so far? Do you like them? Yeah. Coming from France, some of colleagues in my team work on this very nice story. It's called Never Mind the Bullets. It's been featured as best site on the web. It's been very popular. And again, it's basically about parallax effect, and it's about navigating new stories. And you can see that as I move around, there are a number of transitions, animation, the content move. And so here I have, for example, WOF fonts, so I can scale the WOF. All of the bubbles here for the text are also SVG, so I can rescale them easily. I have 7 different layers of parallax, so you can see how the scenes is very interactive using a canvas, and at the end there are CSS3 transitions and some animation. So again, collection of different technology altogether. And then after we built that experience, I had this dream to work with on a real comic book. And so we worked closely with Disney. And Disney has been very kind to work to create and to help us shaping what the future of comic books could look like. And so look at this page. You're probably familiar with the Tron comic book, but this time this is not just a static page, previous next image. This is live. This is interactive. You can see the lights here, right? And you can see that as I spin around, there are a number of animations. There are the circle here is a where is it here? There is an explosion, and so you can see that an image basically become a video, and everything is just move. And it works, by the way, also with touch. So eventually you can control it with a touch. So this is why I love HTML5. This to me looks inspiring, and this is how I want your sites to look like. Can we do it? Big club, like the Disney guys did an amazing job on this, as well as our partners and our design agencies that work with us. All right, so we talk about SVG. We talk about HTML5. Now let's have a look to another very, very important specification. Divya yesterday talked about CSS3. Let me show you a couple of demos with CSS3. The first one is called CSS3 Cool. I still didn't find a name for this one. But here it is. Doraemon, right? The reason I love this demo is that, let me show you the code of this page. You see? It's all divs. Div. No JavaScript file. And then there is this guy, stylesheet.css. That's it. So can you imagine transforming divs into this guy? So how is it possible? Well, if you look at the style sheet, it includes a number of, obviously, it's all made in CSS, with corners, with animations, with transforms. And I can, for example, take here an element. Let's take the eyes. And let's remove the CSS, right? And you quickly see how I can basically start demorphing this guy. And you see how important CSS rules are on this page, right? With CSS, you can really affect the layout of your page. And this is just an example, right? Obviously, I don't expect you to build this type of images with CSS. But if you can do this with a very simple Doraemon, you can do now anything on your site. And there is actually another guy. I think this guy is in Romania that recently posted a new site. We collected a number of these experiments. Let's see if it's loading. But basically, it took some very popular logo and brand. OK, here it is. And you see the logo here, and below it shows you how he achieved it. So again, number of divs, and then a lot of creativity and imagination with CSS rules. And you can see how he created, for example, the Twitter logo using CSS, or even like Atari animations, just using CSS rules. So again, CSS went a long way, and with all of the new CSS3 modules, is really like great resources. And also about typography. I showed you some of the typography at the beginning. Here's like a website created by some of the most talented guys when it comes to typography on the web. They call themselves the Friends of Mighty. And they basically use WOF. WOF is the name of the new CSS3 format. And they created stories using WOF. So this page, for example, I can scroll down. And all of the elements here are different CSS style sheets. Sorry, different CSS fonts. And you can see how they look quite different. But they're amazing because you can obtain new results. And everything just feels live. This looks like, it feels like images. But actually, it's just WOF. I love this. And the last demo is, again, another kind of like experiment we did with Associated Press. And we tried to look at how can we browse and navigate news in a rich way. Let's try to do it in a different way from just text. And so this page is using some jQuery plugin. We're using a lot of CSS. We're using a lot of HTML5 rules. And allows you to see the stories and eventually turn on particular categories of the day. Eventually allows you to store. So we're using local storage to store like the articles that you want to read later. And then anytime you can go back to your personal queue and you can navigate into a particular element. And then as you're looking at the demo, you have like a big image here and the article on the right. Or you can hide the article and just show the image. So there are a number of interactions. There is an Easter egg here. If you right-click on this left column, you get the secret fonts. And now you can play with the fonts on this page. And you can see how applying different fonts actually change like the way you read the content and can make it easier for some reader. And all of this is live, it's dynamic. So go and check it out. So we have HTML, we have SVG, we have CSS. Everything is working. Everything is fantastic. And then we have a number of devices, right? We are talking about laptops, desktops, mobile phones, tablets, slates, iPad, iPhone, Android, whatever. We have a number of devices. And sometimes the way we interact with the devices might be different from a keyboard and a mouse. Obviously, keyboard and mouse are very important, but sometimes you want to touch them. Sometimes you want to do other things, like look at what we're doing with Kinect. You don't even need to touch. You just stand there, you do crazy moves, and now you're interacting with a machine. And so for that interaction, we need to get ready for that interaction, that complex interaction. So we show you here a number of demos that actually go beyond just the mouse and pen concept that we think about. This is a website, for example, I discovered just a few days ago. I saw this on Twitter. So what this website allows you to do is subscribe to an event. And for example, let's go to Electric Daisy Carnival. Oh, this is already sold out. So let's go to Together as One. OK, and let's buy a ticket. I have no idea of what I'm subscribing for. How many of you are coming? OK, I get 10 tickets. It's on me. Check out. OK, I need a credit card. Anybody? But if you look here at the bottom, here's the interesting thing. Sign, right? You're putting your credit card details, and then ask you for a signature. It's a web page. But guess what? I have a pen here. Ooh, and it happens that this screen is a touch screen. I can sign it. This is HTML, guys. What do you think? A pen. This is HTML5. A pen, a touch screen, and now you can sign documents on your web pages. No more scan, fax, or anything of that. I think this is the future. I'm looking forward to see this used in production by other sites. And then there are websites that specialize on the art of drawing. For example, this is the popular Muro. Mike has been working on this for many years. And this site, again, allows you to do great drawings. You probably figured that by this time that I'm not a designer. But you can do a number of things, and you can use the pen here as well. You can use the mouse, you can use the pen, you can use a number of inputs. You can use the finger, so it's touch-friendly. And by the way, there is no special API to do this on this site. It's just using the same events that you already know and you're already familiar with. Leave this page. And there is one more. This is from Japan. again. This is called the shodo. So welcome to Japan. You can see this relaxing music. It's great at 8 in the morning. Now let's write a new shodo. Let me try it. What I love about this page, it actually starts with a video. So it's the preparation to writing on the screen. So right now we are playing a full screen video, but then look what happened very shortly, right? You take the brush, put the brush on the ink, then you put the brush back, and now there is a smooth transition from the video to the actual page. And now I can take the brush, and I can draw on the page. Ciao. Did you notice how the video became the content, and how the content became usable? And now, even when you use the demo, actually you're interacting. You can see my hands getting inside the screen and writing on this canvas. So this is where HTML5 allows you to blend several layers, several technologies together. That's something that previously was very difficult. It's a very unique and compelling story for me. And let's go to the let's cancel this. Let's go back and see the gallery here of other shodo elements drawn by, by the community in the last weeks. So let's get, for example, by popularity. And there are some very, very nice ones here. For example, well, since we are here in Redmond, let's celebrate Bill today. And this is Bill Gates. And you can replay how the guy that built Bill Gates actually drew this. And so you can see all of the shapes and how it starts shaping the face and then the ears and everything and so on. OK, this is going to take only half an hour, so let's watch it. OK, no, you can watch it at home. It's a good exercise if you're learning to draw. But then there is also much more than that. Touch is a very complex matter, right? Sometimes it's just about one finger, sometimes it's just about one pen. Sometimes it will be about multiple fingers, multiple people interacting on the same surfaces. For example, I have here, it's a device with a touch screen. Can we show this device? And this is running Internet Explorer 10 in full screen. So what you see here is just like the new i10 Metro UI. The page that you see here is plain HTML5 with JavaScript events. Now, look what happened when I put one finger, right? You see that basically I'm interacting with the content. Now, look what happened when I put 2 fingers. I get 2 events, 3 events, 4 events. Wait a second. 5. 6, 7. I need more fingers. Anybody? 8. I have 8 fingers on this page. This is multi-touch. This is powerful. This is where we are moving to, right? This is complex, but we need to get there. And there is work that is happening, right? This is, for example, just a proposal. We've been working hard on multi-touch. We think this is a great approach. We have a new number of APIs in the last platform preview of Internet Explorer 10. Other browsers and other user agents are trying different approaches. Doug just created recently a new working group in W3C where they are discussing touch events. So there is work, there is progress going on. And I'm looking forward when we will have 20 fingers on the website. And in order to click a button, you will need the 2 people with their hands on that page. But seriously, think about it, right? Once we're talking about mobile phones, we're also talking about huge, large screens. So eventually, we could get together, all of us, go to that screen and all start interacting on the same surface. Why not, right? We'll say that we just need to go to smaller surfaces. So this looks absolutely very promising. So we talk about touch. There is also another working group in W3C. It's called Web Apps, and work on a number of APIs, great APIs that allow you to do pretty much anything you want to do on the web. One of the new APIs is really hot. It's now supported in all browsers, or almost getting there. It's called File API. And File API allows you to do interaction with files, easy. In the past, for example, if you wanted to upload an image to the server side, you would get your open file dialog, get the image, submit to the server, then the server does a post back page, and now you can interact with it. So there is a round trip to the server, and then you can use it. Can it be easier? Well, that's the goal of File API. This is a demo from my friend Robert. Thanks, Robert, if you're watching online. He's an evangelist at Mozilla. And so I have this page here that has a target container. I have a couple of images on my desktop. I just drag and drop the image. You see how the page is aware of the fact that I'm dropping image on the page. And now I can display the images. And I didn't go to the server. So the browser got the image, gets some metadata. So, for example, you can get the file name, the size, and obviously the byte stream. And those are ready for you to manipulate locally. And then eventually you can upload online, or you can do further interaction. So this is coming to all browsers. And this obviously will allow easier scenarios, like attaching files to your email, or interacting with content inside a web page. This is quite powerful. We have APIs about sockets, web sockets. And WebSockets allows you to connect multiple users going through the HTTP stack, and then it got promoted to the TCP protocol. It's great. We've been working on WebSockets for a long time. There's been work in W3C. There's been work in IETF. And as you've seen in the last year, there have been many iterations. I actually don't remember if the last one is 13 or 14 version of the WebSockets. But the great news, so actually let me start with the bad news. The bad news is that I prepared a demo, but I cannot show it today. And the reason is that just recently the WebSocket specification evolved, so we're getting very close to the final specification, the final protocol. The bad news is that no browsers today implemented it yet. And so I didn't want to show you something that is old. But the good news, as I said, is that there is consensus. Like, we're almost getting there. They're almost a candidate recommendation. And so very soon, you will be able to use WebSockets on your pages. And so allow almost like real-time communications between multiple users, going through the port 80 or the SSL port 443 in a transparent way. And so you will be able to go, the great thing about WebSockets is that you can kind of avoid the proxies and the firewalls because you're using the web port. It's a secure protocol. And so soon on your desktop, soon on your devices. And then there is also another working group that we love, absolutely love, which is the Web Performance Working Group. It's a new working group, and they've been working on a number of APIs. Yesterday, you saw some of them. I'll show you just a demo, right? Yesterday, for example, we talked about page visibility. Let me show you this in action. You have this monitor. It's checking if everything is all right and if we're alive. Now, let me close this page. Then I walk around this desk. You need to do this when you do this demo. Otherwise, it doesn't work. I'm back to my desk. And voila. The page knew that I was dancing and bouncing around. You see the green or the red line. Why this is important? Well, because if you have an intensive application here, you can actually suspend it. Avoid to use a lot of resources. And if you're running on a mobile device, this is very important. You don't want to consume all of the energy when your game or when your application is not on the forefront. Or you could eventually interrupt an action and then resume it later. And this is available already in many browsers, obviously. But and we are making progress on this. There are things that are already very solid, and there are other things coming very soon. And then, ladies and gentlemen, the last section, games, right? One of the reasons HTML5 is so popular is because there are a lot of HTML5 games. And one of the reasons I kept this section at the end is because I didn't want you to get distracted from the beginning. So let me show you a couple of games. The first one is actually not properly a game. It's a collection. It's a competition that we did with the Alista Part group. And basically, it's a challenge. The challenge is for developers to create applications with less than 10K lines of code. And the competition, the challenge is already completed, but you can see some of the grand prizes and some of the best results. And you will find many popular games here built using HTML5. I encourage you to visit and to play with it. There are very talented developers here. The next one is Chrome Experiment. I'm sure you are familiar with this. It is a great site if you're looking for experiments on a number of technologies. There is a lot of stuff. Go and watch. You see, like, I don't have time to show all of the demos. But you should spend some time on the web. And same on Mozilla, right? Mozilla has created very recently a portal where they're trying to collect a number of demos. And for example, let me show you this one. We talked yesterday about media queries. Let me launch it. So here's why media queries are popular, because they allow you to be aware of how big is the browser, what is the device of the device size. And that is important because eventually you can relay out the page depending on this characteristic. So if I resize down the browser, right, you see? So if you're on a mobile device, you see this. If you're on a slate, you're going to see that big. And if you're on desktop, you don't even see it. But all of this is achieved using CSS. So there is no JavaScript involved for this little animation. Then there is Angry Birds, right? Angry Birds changed the game. It's a simple game if you think about it, but Rovio and Google did a great job demonstrating that it's possible actually to build compelling HTML5 games just using the canvas, right? So I'm playing using the canvas in this scenario. And again, works on any browser, so it's a great story there. OK. And I now succeed the level 1. Thank you. Thank you. I actually spent more time training for this game than the rest of the presentation, so I really appreciate it. There are also like libraries and frameworks that are coming that help you building games or help you building compelling application. I picked just one of them, right? So I hope the others will not be mad at me. But this is just like one of these libraries called Impact.js, and allows you to build very simple game. Now, I think it's just preloading the content. Let's give it a second or so. And while this loads, libraries and frameworks are very important. jQuery has been leading on the JavaScript space. And as you build games, there are libraries like AZJL that Grant Skinner is going to talk about later, where it shows you probably Pirates Love Daisies. And there are a number of other libraries. So let me try again. OK, I'll skip this one. It's a great game. And then there are also like more classic games. For example, Agent 8-Ball is just the pool game where I can play balls. You can see the little details here, right? The shades and how this is affected by the lights. And then, guys, gosh, I should have spent more time on this. But you can see that performance is great, and you can spend hours on this. And this is actually part of my job. I told to my manager, like, half of my day is just spent testing and playing on the web. It's what I do for my job. This is why I love it. And the great thing here is that there is a bomb. Right. It's embarrassing. But it's all HTML5, so that's the beauty of it. And then I have one last demo. You might have seen this before. But I want to play this again. This is Pac-Man. And Pac-Man is a popular game. And so we work with our friends in Microsoft Australia and obviously. Oh, where is it? Oh. OK, I was saying Pac-Man is a very popular game. It's an arcade game. And this is built using a canvas, right? And you're thinking, but this is not really interesting. I mean, you're using low resources. OK, this time I'm going to make it. Pop, 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 pop. So I'm using low resources, but look at this. Whoop. And I jump to the next maze. And then I go right. Hop. And I jump into another maze. And then I go up. Hop. And I keep going and going and going from maze to maze. And eventually I can go back. Or I can escape and go back there again. So it's very interactive. And if I go home, it's not just 1 or 2, 3 mazes. We're actually talking about 69,000 mazes. 69. 702 mazes. And you can navigate in this virtual space, right? So you can see how these mazes are all connected. When we started this game, there were one maze. Then the first week after we launched the site, actually the first week before launching the site, start creating more mazes. And everybody in Microsoft was creating mazes. Create. And then we opened this to the public. So this is on the cloud. And this scale to any number, like as we proved, this can scale as much as we want. Actually, you can go here, so you can find a spot on the edge, right? For example, there are empty spots here available now, and you can go and you can create and design your own maze, right? So you have all of the tools in the browser, in this application, to design your own maze. And actually, can somebody please draw a W3C maze? I really want it. So please, can somebody do it after my presentation, obviously? And please share the link back to me. But we need to get W3C feature here. And this is just amazing. This is HTML5 plus also the power of the cloud. In this case, we're using Windows Azure, but it can be any cloud solution. Just scale up this solution. And this is, to me, what HTML5 is. And so to recap, we saw a number of demos today. We saw how great developers, great designers, great ISVs and agencies around the world have been building and have been using with HTML5. We saw all of the progress that the W3C working groups have been making in the last years. And we need to give them a big round of applause, a big thank you, because this is possible thanks to them. So can you join me and give an applause to W3C? And I see a lot of people here that if they are not playing Pac-Man, they're actually thinking, OK, now I want to build something equally cool and equally amazing. And I'm looking forward to see what the people in this room or the people online will create in the next years using HTML5. I think, as you saw today, we are ready, right? This is not like shaky. This is working on all browsers. The demo I showed you are already working. HTML5 is ready. So start building great content. This is a great time to start and to build more HTML5. And as we move forward, we will get more and more, and you will have more APIs, more features, more performance across the board. So with that, I want to thank you, and I hope you enjoyed. Again, you can find the links on my Twitter. Thank you. So we have 1 second. Is there any question? OK, sorry, end of time. I'll be around all day. So if you have any question or if you want to show me anything, I'll be around. Thank you again.